Continue our discussion on the homeless situation in downtown Daytona Beach by talking with one of the strongest advocates for a solution. Pastor Mike Pastore has been a street minister and an expert on this subject and has been pushing for the solution for some time. He joins us live today in studio on WNDB. Pastor Mike, welcome to WNDB. It's good to see you, sir.
Good to be with you, Mark.
All right, a couple of questions just about you up front. Are you an ordained minister? How is it that you have this title of Pastor Mike?
Okay, I'm an ordained minister. Those people that wanted to track for me asked me where I went to seminary or whatever. The fact of it is I didn't go to seminary. I joined forces with an organization that ordains people in kind of like an open, an open way who have studied the Bible, and I have been in ministry for 30 years in one form or another.
What is that organization?
It's openministry.org, and I'm in a national directory of ordained ministers.
Oh, so you have to pass a criteria of some kind to be considered?
It's a self-paced type of Bible study.
Okay. You operated a business here. You were telling me as you came into our studio, and forgive me for forgetting, maybe 20 years ago, it was a computer business? Yeah,
CompuTown out of Ormond Beach. And I had a call-in program with Dave Lang through this station. And I've been a resident of Volusia County for 25 years, most of it in New Smyrna. And, just recently in the last 5 years, relocated, pretty much focused my efforts on Daytona Beach.
Just to sort of, because it does reflect on what we're going to talk about. After you closed that business down, what did you do?
What did I do?
Yeah.
I got a job. I went to work for a company that actually sold these big plotters and CAD machines and so on. And because I had networking experience through the computer store and also sales experience, I was a twofer for them and did very well. And then went into the sign business because I started calling on sign businesses. And I thought, hey, these guys are making a few bucks. And I had a sign business called Sign Wagon of Central Florida down in New Smyrna for about 10 years, made a payroll. So I'm very sympathetic, to small business owners, trying to make it. And a lot of people, don't have that distinction of having made a payroll and had to, open the doors and pay people and so on.
Does that takes you up till what year roughly? Like you stay employed, you work for different companies, but now this is what you do. When was the cutoff at working for a company?
The cutoff was remember the 5th of November 2007. I had a 6-way bypass and open heart surgery, and I went the stress of the real estate market going down the tubes in 2007 down in New Smyrna and trying to keep my business afloat. And so when I had a heart attack, a 6-way bypass, and then the vocational rehab didn't want to train me for anything at 55 years old, so I applied for disability and got it, and sat out for a couple of years, and I said, well, I can't do this. I got to find something to stay busy with. So I got involved in homeless advocacy, helping people, and so on.
So do you have family?
Yeah, I have 3 daughters. I have a daughter in Jacksonville, one in Tampa, and one in New Smyrna Beach. So we're all over the state.
And you have an actual residence. You're not homeless yourself.
I was homeless for a year. I I lived in a 9x9 storage unit. And
when was that?
That was 2 years ago. And then I got off the street. I had I saved up and flipped a tax deed property in Daytona Beach, bought a van, got off the street, and started my ministry. I live in a 1-bedroom apartment.
So you have residence?
Yeah.
Okay.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Why the homeless? Why did you choose to work with the homeless?
Well, I was going through a existential crisis, if you will. Like, what did I want to do with my life? And my daughters I was an empty nester. All my daughters didn't need me anymore. I didn't have to put out any fires or solve their problems anymore. So I kind of said, what am I going to do now? And I thought about ministry, and God clearly showed me that he wanted me to minister to the least of these, the people that were really struggling it. And he really clearly told told me, he said, the untouchables, the people that nobody, wants to deal with, the lepers in our society, the ones on North Street that nobody wants to minister to. They're in wheelchairs and so on, and they smell really bad. And I take them up to YMCA and Holly Hill and then get them all cleaned up, put clean clothes on them, and help them that way, because that's what my faith tells me to do as a minister.
Do these people want to hear the word of God?
Of course, they've all heard the word of God at one time or another. But I always say, you believe in Jesus, but they ask, well, what has Jesus done for me lately? And if getting saved and hearing the good news of the gospel of Jesus Christ was enough, okay, then why have all the suffering in the world? My Bible teaches us to lift people up, to help people. To, if you have 2 coats, to give them one. If you have 2 sandwiches, you give them one. Give them one of yours, and that's what we're called to do as Christians.
Do you want a homeless shelter downtown?
No.
Do you want a tent city downtown?
Okay, well, let's examine that word. Okay, that those 2 words, tent city, that conjures up all of the negative stereotypes of a homeless encampment with individual tents where they're doing drugs or drinking or having sex in these little tents, and it's just a big trashy thing. I've never advocated for that. It never works. It never works unless there's strong supervision. Catholic Charities runs a nice one over in Pinellas Hope, but that's not what I'm advocating. I've never advocated for that.
What are you advocating?
Well, if I would love to have a building, but the city commission will not suggest any building in the city limits of Daytona Beach, even just for a short time. So is it all okay? Then if we had a natural disaster, Red Cross would come in and put up a structure, and then they would have cots in it, a Red Cross type of tent.
But not necessarily in the downtown.
You know what? I get criticized for saying that, I want to push something on the downtown merchants. I really don't. I'm just saying, well, you don't like my suggestion. Give me your suggestion.
They want to send them out by the jail.
Okay. And I'm in favor of Volusia Safe Harbor, but it's going to take, a long time. It's going to take a long time, and for 24 months before the city commission, I've been saying it's going to take 24 months. So now it's going to be like 48 months from the time I first started talking about it.
Well, the thing kind of push has come to shove, because in the downtown, it's a safety issue. I mean, we can't walk out of this building while being accosted by one of them. They hit us up for money. We say no. They say F you. There's pictures that were sent to me today that were taken just recently, not 2 blocks from here. The guy didn't say anything to him. He just took their picture, and they all threw him the finger. Is that Christian? Is that? Well, are those people we should be helping?
I'm not.
But they're part of what they're part of who the people are you minister to.
Well,
do we want them downtown?
I'm not saying that I'm. I'm advocating for their behavior. That their behavior is not acceptable. But the lives of these people are so desperate, okay, that they have nothing. They have nothing, and they have a basic subsistence mindset. Okay, it's get up in the morning, where am I going to eat? Where am I going to sleep? That's about as far as they can go forward. And if they perceive somebody is like intruding on there, and I've had it happen myself when I take my videos for Facebook or whatever, and they get really upset that I'm taking their picture. So it's kind of like a protective thing. I don't know if that makes any sense, but
yeah.
They're kind of reserved about that, because.
But you have to admit, that's not the type of atmosphere you want if you're trying to create a business image for the downtown. People throwing the finger and yelling, stinking up the place, public urination, public.
Mark, I'm not making excuses for these people.
So
it's
get
wrong.
them out of here.
Okay, so all right,
get them out of here. In the downtown, it's impeding.
All right, where are they going to go? All right, where are they going to go?
Send them out near the jail.
Okay, fine. Let's do it tomorrow. How are we going to do that?
Transport them out there.
To where? There's no there.
You want to set up some kind of a structure like you were talking about the Red Cross? Do it out by the jail. Don't do it in the downtown.
Right, but I don't make those decisions, Mark. Okay, what I'm
Did you try to organize those people to go over to the Justice Building? Because that's what people are saying, that because it's stepped up in the last 2 weeks. Did you do this?
This notion, Mark, that I'm somehow the Pied Piper and I'm like Fagin from Oliver Twist, and I got a bunch of pickpockets around and I can lead them marching down Beach Street. That's ridiculous. I don't tell these people where to sleep.
You didn't try to organize them and get them over there?
No, I did. In the summer, I did have some demonstrations, holding signs and so on in front of.
Because Commissioner Woods said that you're marching them into city commission chambers almost in an effort to embarrass these people, and you march them into meetings and they speak during public participation. What good does that do?
Well,
are you doing that?
Wouldn't their voice be? Why shouldn't their voice be heard, Mark?
Are you doing that? Are you organizing them to show up?
Yeah. Am I taking them to City Hall? Do you want to speak at City Hall? Do you want to speak before the mayor? They say yes. I don't tell them to.
But you organize and deliver them to City Hall and march them in?
No, I don't march them in. I take a few. Mark, I could.
Let's not split hairs. You escort them to City Hall. Somehow you get them there to be at a meeting to speak to the homeless issue, correct?
Why not? It's First Amendment.
Just asking.
Public participation, 2.5 minutes.
But you know what the end result is. It takes up time. Nothing's getting done because the city doesn't want them in the downtown.
Where do they want them? Out by the jail. I get that. The Volusia Safe Harbor program is 24 months away. So what do we do in the meantime? Mark, where are they going to sleep? Where are they going to eat? Where are they going to pee? Where are they going to poop? Tonight.
My understanding is, from what I was told, before they even closed the bathrooms, they were already
doing their
defecating inside businesses. Doesn't matter whether you have bathrooms or not. They do it anyway.
Well, if there was a bathroom, why would they want to do it in the
I don't know, but they are. They're doing it. They go into Sweet Marley's and they defecate right there on the floor while they're in business. Is that? I mean, this is not helpful.
The bathrooms close at 5:30 at sundown. Okay, so this, anecdotal, stories that I hear from Tom Myers, Rocco's Yogurt, or Paul Zappatelli, and I've tried to talk to all of them. I hear these anecdotal stories.
All these people are just nuts.
I don't know. I wasn't there, Mark. So
You don't think there's some credibility when you get that many people telling you it hinders their business, that maybe these people need to take a hike?
I'm not making excuses for them. Not at all. But if you're going to have people that have a legal right to be in a public space and there's no bathrooms providing for them and they have no place to go to the bathroom, they have no place to sleep, isn't that, doesn't it follow that U.S. citizens be able to go to the bathroom?
Not in a building, not in a
Well, no, I'm
business
not advocating that. I'm talking about a public building. Well, I don't know that that's true, Mark.
But we were told by the businesses that they were defecating in their businesses even before the bathrooms were closed, which tells me that these people don't give a rat's patoot whether there's a bathroom or not. They're going to go where they want to go when they want to go.
I can't speak to that, Mark, because I wasn't there.
You haven't seen it?
No.
You are at the centerpiece for advocating a solution to the homeless, and you've never witnessed any of that.
No, not at all. Not at all. They complain because the city closed the bathrooms during the week to the homeless, and yet open them up for the farmers market. So so there is a war on the homeless where they're trying to, as Josh Wagner put, use these choke out techniques and saying we're going to make it and Chief Chitwood has actually said we're going to make it as more difficult for them to survive,
and not encouraging them to go somewhere else. You got cities dumping people in this city. Do you know
that's
that?
Anecdotal evidence. Maybe it's happened a few times. I don't know that there's any wholesale.
Port Orange and South Daytona are both mentioned.
But why would they be in Port Orange to begin with?
There's homeless people everywhere, but it seems that what it appears, and we may be stakeholders because we physically live and work here, and we have to deal with this nonsense every day. You can't go outside. My daughter danced at South Beach Dance for years. I couldn't let her walk across that parking lot without her being accosted by one of them. So I would have to go to a commercial break and walk her over there so she'd get over there safely. It's a safety issue, Mike.
I'm sorry that happened to you, Mark. Okay, I'm not excusing any particular person's behavior.
But setting up restroom facilities is admitting that they should have a presence here and they should be cared for here and they should stay here. You set that stuff up, you're going to create a magnet for every city. Oh, they've got facilities there. We'll just dump them there.
Well, then why don't they take a $19 bus ticket and go to Orlando? Because Orlando has much better facilities. They got shelters. They have soup kitchens. Why don't they go to Orlando? If that urban myth were true, then why doesn't everybody go to a place where there's better services?
Because they don't have $19 to get a bus ticket to go to Orlando.
Well,
they're homeless.
I think Chief has a standing program where he give people a bus ticket out of town.
Chief Chitwood has a standing program to give people a $19 bus pass to Orlando?
Well, now, Chief, not exactly.
We'll
I've heard. Ask him on Friday.
He'll actually be in here tomorrow.
Okay.
He told us, and he stated this on the air, that you advocated a beer garden not too far from here. Is that true?
Well, that was something that was taken out of context. I was
wasn't a beer garden
in my very first meeting with Chief Chitwood. I asked him about the. I said, well, can somebody sit behind a fence, off of Ridgewood and drink a beer? And he said, yeah. And that's right when Kelly White came back from New York City and had a beer garden. And I laughingly, jokingly said, well, maybe we should have a beer garden. And it was a joke. So he took that
so you weren't serious?
Oh, no, I wasn't serious. People with substance abuse problems should be in treatment. Not in a beer garden. And they tried to do that on Ridgewood Avenue. There's a little bar right there on Ridgewood, right next to the J store, and they had a couple of tables outside, and they put a stop to that.
When you minister to these people, do you try to encourage them to say things to people other than "Can you spare some change"? Do you try to redirect the conversation?
I don't advocate that they panhandle, okay? Because panhandling is it's a dead end street. Because they panhandle 1 week and 2 weeks, and that becomes a lifestyle for them. I would rather them see them go out to the labor halls and sign up for work. So I don't advocate that at all.
Former pastor Bobby Welch, in an interview with us 20 years ago, said at that time, 6 out of every 10 homeless in the downtown had homes, they just weren't in them. Would that statement sound like it's true, that there may be people who are saying they're homeless, but they're not homeless? They've just left their spouses, left their families.
If you knew the people that I talk to on a daily basis, no, these people don't have homes to go back to. Now, having said that, there's a phenomenon, and I minister to people who have burned every bridge back to safety in their life. They are familyless and homeless, okay, where they have no place to go back to because of their issues, whether it be mental issues or substance abuse issues or criminal issues. They have no place to go, and then they end up on the slip. And it's a downward spiral from there.
Here's where I'm at a disadvantage. I don't know whether it's legal or illegal to sleep on a park bench. I've had pictures sent to me of homeless people sleeping on benches. Isn't that unlawful?
Well, it used to be.
It used to be.
Yeah, in 2012, my homeless advocate associate, Brad Carter, along with 11 other plaintiffs, went to Judge Schuman and did a court case, and Judge Schuman overturned the city of Daytona Beach's sleeping ordinance. Okay, so you cannot be ticketed for sleeping.
So all I can do is roust them out of there.
Well, what Captain Newcomb was quoted in the News Journal saying, well, we can do a well-being check and see if they're alive. So they don't call it rousting. They call it like checking on their well-being. But, we all know what that is.
Are they not allowed? They are not allowed to encourage these people to get off the park bench and beat it?
No.
You can't tell them to beat it. They have to just let them sleep. If I wanted to go and sleep on a park bench overnight, I could?
Yes. If it's in a public space, yes. And there is a state of Florida law that somebody was saying something about a bus shelter, a Votran bus shelter in the state of Florida. It's against the law to arrest somebody for sleeping in a bus shelter.
Okay. So I guess there are no more vagrancy laws.
Well, I don't know. that's not something that I've seen the police department arrest people for. They do a lot of arresting for trespassing.
Have you ever been accosted? Physically harmed by a homeless person?
Yeah, I was carjacked.
You were carjacked?
I was carjacked. I was giving out water in the summer back in August.
Of this year?
Yeah, on North Street. Okay, and I was giving out water, and I was in the side, and like a dummy, I left the car running, and the guy got in, put it, and then I jumped into the side, wrestled for the keys, knocked him on the ground, and so on. So I'm not excusing criminal behavior by anybody that's embedded in this population at all. There was a couple of assaults where guys got beat up, and I made sure, went to the victim's advocate, I went to the state attorney, and made sure that they were prosecuted for beating up on homeless.
Help us clear this up too. Have you approached the city for employment that deals with homelessness of any kind? Commissioner Woods said that in her interview.
She says that. Well, she says that I'm angling for some sort of position to run a temporary shelter, and that I'm not an operator. I'm an advocate. All right, I try to bring people together, and whether it be Catholic Charities or Salvation Army or Halifax Urban Ministries or individual churches, the faith organization, I would try to bring people together, and I would be part of that operating group. But I'm not going to run anything at this stage of my life.
Okay. Just so that I'm clear on this answer. You have not in any fashion solicited a paid position from the city?
Never.
Are you wanting that?
No.
Has anybody offered you that?
No.
Has the county offered you that?
No.
If they would come up with a way of cost effectively transporting homeless from the downtown out to the jail with a structure to provide services, would you be okay with that?
Well, I philosophically, I have a problem with that because,
why?
Well, because it's tantamount to ethnic cleansing. Okay, where
ethnic cleansing?
Yeah. Where you say this is a group of people who's undesirable. They don't smell good. They don't look good.
That's right.
Okay, all right, but
why do you have to be around this? Why do you have to be around this?
Because we live in America.
Yes, but they also stop other people who don't stink, smell, and curse from coming into businesses and doing business.
Well, that's a different... I'm talking about public spaces.
And I'm saying that when these people take up public space and they do all these things, other people who don't have their challenges won't frequent those businesses because they got to walk through these people to get in.
Yeah, but the only people that have... It's not just the business owners, the property owners, the people that pay taxes that have civil rights. I'm on the committee for the ACLU committee, and we meet every week, and we've had...
That can't be right, Mike. That can't be. The civil rights can't extend for them.
Well, they used to call that the ugly laws in San Francisco.
I just can't see how their civil rights give them a right to impede and hurt other people's business by getting in the way.
Well, they don't. But if they're not breaking a law, then how can you remove any U.S. citizen from a public space if they're not breaking the law? Tell me.
When they hang out in the same position in the same place and impede traffic, I think it's a problem.
If they're not breaking, if they're breaking a law, yes, they can be arrested, taken to jail, and they let out the next day.
Wow. So you're not advocating a tent for the downtown, is that correct?
This got started because
News Journal story says a fabrication tent.
Well, I sent an email, and I had a plan called the Blue Paper, and I put it out, and it said, all right, let's take, if the point in time count says we have 329 people in the downtown area or in Daytona Beach, I said, let's take the worst of the worst, the people that are most vulnerable, and let's take care of 100 people. I said, just 100. Not anymore. It's not going to be a magnet for people to come in from all over just to get a cot. Not going to be a magnet. Okay, it's just to give them some basic dignity, a place to go to the bathroom, and a cot to sleep on in safety. And that was all I was looking for. And then it just got, everybody just went nuts.
Because it doesn't stop there, and there's no end date. Nobody believes that this is temporary. Josh said it, and I respect and like Josh a lot. But nobody believes this is going to be
Mark,
temporary.
if they don't like my suggestion, then come up with some. I hear Tammy. I hear what's it? Tom Myers from the
guys from the Indian motorcycle place.
Everybody's complaining, but I don't hear proposed solutions. All they do is complain and complain and complain. And I say, why don't you call Kelly White? I'll give you her phone number. Why don't you call the city manager? They just want to vilify me, I guess, but that's okay. I can take it.
Is that you?
Yeah, but I'll shut up.
If these the thing that kind of puzzled me too is something somebody mentioned on the program before. You see a lot of these people smoking cigarettes. I'm like, they're homeless people. They should no money, but it costs $7 to buy a pack of cigarettes. How is that?
A lot of times they have the 99-cent cigars, but so I mean, nicotine is a drug. I mean, it's an addiction. What can I say?
Catering to homeless people in the downtown that's struggling to right itself, to me, is an invitation for more blight.
It depends on how,
Pictures don't lie. You have people lying on the sidewalk just 2 blocks from here. I mean, how can that be okay?
It isn't okay in my book.
You want to have something for them, and you're assuming they'll all go to that place. Even if they set up what you want in the downtown, if you could contain them in that place, that'd be fine. But they won't be there. They'll be all over the place.
Doesn't have to be in the downtown, Mark.
Doesn't have to be in the downtown. Where do you want it to be?
Well, I mean,
North Front Street?
No, I have. I proposed a lot of different places out by the sewage treatment plant. Okay, I met with a gentleman that owns the bowling alley out on Mason Avenue, which I didn't think it was in the city limits of Daytona Beach.
Thought it was Holly Hill.
I thought it was Holly Hill too. So he says no, it's in Daytona Beach. Okay, as a transitional place. Now that's not as far west as Pam Woods would like, but there's a building that could be retrofitted.
Were you turned down?
Huh?
Was that request turned down?
No. I never submitted anything to the city. I talked to the owner of the building and I said, you know what? There's lots of buildings. The old police station. There's the armory right there. It's right in the middle of.
Let's talk about those two: the bowling alley and the police station. You talked to the owner of the bowling alley.
Yes, I did.
How far did it get?
He
wouldn't sell it to you?
No, he didn't want my input. And first of all, I'm not buying any real estate to open up a homeless
He
shelter.
didn't want the city to take that building for homelessness?
No, I put him in touch with Gary Shaman, and I believe they talked. And but I don't think that's going to be far west enough for Pam Woods.
I'm sorry. Who is Gary Shaman? Forgive me.
He's the deputy city manager in the city of Daytona Beach.
To your knowledge, there was never any dialogue between the two?
I think they met and talked. Okay, but Gary is, he's just an assistant city manager, and then the city manager's got to get involved, and then it's got to go to the commission. But let me make it very, very clear: there is zero sentiment on any solution that leaves homeless people in the city limits of Daytona Beach.
We'll take a break, and we went very long. I apologize to sponsors. We're going to take the break, come back. And then Pastor Mike Pastore, we're talking about the homeless situation in the downtown. Because of your religious connection, I come back to this occasionally to ask, do you think through your ministry that anyone has told you that they have been saved as a result of you speaking with them and shepherding them?
Yes. In the Bible that I carry, I make notes, about when I ask somebody if they died tonight, where would they go? And if they don't have an answer for them, then I have a very private conversation with them about, about what I know to be true, that the plan of salvation in the Bible is a way that you can know for sure that you're going to go to heaven. And I've had a number of people come to know Jesus that way.
You've had meetings with the city manager, Jim Chisholm, about this issue?
Nope. Mm-mm.
Have you asked for such meetings?
No.
Why not?
Because, Jim Chisholm is a very, very close and secretive person, and he's not open. I've sent many emails to him, and he's not responded. So I didn't think a formal approach to. I've asked him to be on the homeless committee.
But you've never approached him. You've never approached him for a direct one-on-one.
Well, but that would be fruitless because he doesn't vote. Okay,
Yeah, but that's still he could bring an issue before the council. If you were to curry the favor of a manager, now you have somebody on your side to get your agenda accomplished. Why wouldn't you do that?
Well, because he's already demonstrated that the only thing that he wants to do is bring in a consultant, okay, pay this consultant to get the result that he wants, that the people that pull his strings want, which is to get the homeless out of Daytona Beach.
Do you agree that having homeless people downtown is a safety issue?
Oh, most definitely. Do I think that there are criminals that are embedded in the homeless population? Yes, I do.
Doesn't it stand to reason it would be better to get rid of them than to cater to them?
That's where I have a problem with it. Now you're starting to sound like the chief that all the homeless are criminals. Okay, they're not all criminals.
But you can't tell by looking at them. I'm just saying, why cater to that group of people?
Then take the word homeless out, and then insert any descriptor that you want. Okay.
Some of these people are vagrant who blend in with homeless people. Do you not admit that that's a very distinct possibility? There is a criminal element. Drug people, gangs, they infiltrate with homeless people.
Well, and also on North Street, the drug dealers and the prostitutes prey on the genuinely homeless, innocent people. Okay, so there is that's why I don't advocate a solution in North Street, because North Street is surrounded by a drug-infested neighborhood that just perpetuates, this cesspool that they have over there.
So it's not safe for homeless people to be on Front Street. So North Street. So bring them downtown where there's no druggies. I mean, come on,
Mark.
You're encouraging them to not be on North Street, be in the downtown.
I don't encourage them to do anything. I don't bring them anywhere. Anywhere to say, okay, you stay over here because this is going to make the problem. Is going to bring it to the forefront, or as the chief said, dramatize the situation. I didn't do it. I mean, go down and ask them. I didn't tell them to sleep there. They're in front of the county administration building.
And you're totally innocent of that.
Huh?
You didn't recruit that.
Yeah, I bring them sleeping bags and bring them water.
You're
and
encouraging them to go there.
What, by bringing them a sleeping bag?
Yeah, you've sent a signal out that come on and sleep in front of the administration building. We'll give you bedding. Come on, Mike.
Oh. Okay, making the homeless a little more comfortable in their miserable lives by not having to sleep directly on concrete. Well, okay, Mark, I'm guilty as charged.
But they shouldn't be doing that. They shouldn't be sleeping in front of a government building.
Where should they be sleeping?
Not there. Somewhere else.
Where?
Oh, so because the city didn't provide a shelter, it's okay to do that?
Well,
why is it the city's responsibility to provide housing for these people?
Why is it the government's responsibility to provide housing for anyone?
It's a federal housing project in which people meet a criteria to be in it, not aimlessly wandering through a downtown and just deciding they're going to camp out wherever they feel like.
We're just going to have to disagree on this.
I guess so, because there's a city park across the street that the public can't use now because all the bums are hanging out over there. It's not safe to let your kids wander over there. That's a park that was created for recreational use, and now people are turning it into a Motel 6 for bums.
I'm looking at solutions, not restating the problem, Mark. Okay, if you have a suggestion of how we can legally remove these people from the areas that people
to be continued. A spirited debate. Forgive me, we're out of time. Good luck. Happy New Year to you.
Happy New Year.
Back after news. It's 5.